Here comes the Nastygram.
Send a priest to save my soul, forget it.
Welcome back to the Nastygram RPG podcast. This is Empire's End.
Hi, this is Dean. I'm playing Lieutenant Commander Victor Argus, Operations Officer or Ops.
Hey, I'm John, and I play Lieutenant Commander Poro Randar, callsign Metalhead, Commander of the Air Group or CAG.
Hey everybody, I'm Matt. I play Gaius Loctus Vilfug, and I am the Medical and Personnel Officer, or MED.
Hey everyone, this is Dan. I play Lieutenant Junior Grade Nero Orn, Communications and Intelligence Officer, or COIN.
And I'm Josh, and I'll be your Game Master. This is the penultimate episode, episode 24, Final Moves.
All these hungry, angry mouths, forgiven.
Officer's Log, Argus Victor Commander RACO Station, designation 0X-Ray 77 Delta. When I took this assignment at RACO as the Operations Divisional Head, I did not foresee command of the entire station falling to me. It always was the goal, command, but in my mind it would be something I earned over time, not something that landed in my lap. Alas, here we are. My career as an Imperial officer has been, as expected, clean. I'm not sure I can reasonably say this is the case anymore. Part of me expected things to get tumultuous. I've been watching the rebels for a long time and closely. Their tactics, their determination, and while I find it remarkable that they've managed to topple the ERC, I can't say that I'm overly surprised. Bloated bureaucracies always pop when things get prickly. The Empire is no different. Empires have risen and fallen forever. The only thing we can rely on is each other, and we must be strong. There's a part of us that got a little bit weaker today. We've finally lost life out here, 7 in total, including Commander Hethna. Good people for the most part. Truth be told, the latter isn't much of a loss. He's the exact type of bureaucrat that makes up the majority of the ERC. A man more interested in the privileges of his rank than he is in the people in his charge. We've also lost Ceslin, one of the best officers I've ever served with. An officer who believes that she must maintain her lawful commitment to the ERC. The ERC, it doesn't even exist anymore. She claims to suggest that we're casting our lot in with warlords. What she does not see is that the ERC has descended into chaos. The ERC has also become a faction of competing warlords. Strength is important now. We've lost people who have decided to maintain their loyalty to Chamfers, a man who will not return his loyalty to them. Strength in numbers is important. I must say it is a moment of pride for me when I realized we've only lost 8 people to Arif. Only 8. I'd like to pass on this to the rest of the department heads. They have good relationships with their people, and we're going to need them. We're going to need strength. And when the Empire banners flap in the wind, and they burn and a new one takes its place, one thing remains: the strength of individuals. And Jabuic is the answer. We must cast our hat in with Jabuic. Most of these working men and women, they don't care. They don't care who's at the top. What they care about is who can help them, who can keep them safe, who can give them a fulfilling and rewarding career, who is going to treat them right. I believe we have the people in place for that. Which brings me to Marita. It's been a long time since I've had the companionship of a woman, and Marita is quite the woman. I suppose now is not the time for distractions as we get closer and closer to the culmination of this conflict, this battle between sector admirals in which we find ourselves in the middle. And I'm proud to say that Marita has seen the light. I have Wilfuck to thank for this. The doctor surprised me today. He surprised me knowing how to play the game, how to discuss things with Marita. It's part of his stock, I suppose. But it looks good. outside of our losses, it looks good. Strength is improving. We have Jabuic at our back. We have most of the crew and the divisional heads, save Ceslin. And now we have Merida, engaging in what looks like a hostile takeover of this sector's Kuiper arm. An ambitious young woman, to say the least, drafting up new corporate paperwork as we speak, firing her right hand. Right in the meeting, she fired him. That savagery is admirable. But we now must press on with one final matter, and that is locating Thorne, who has gone AWOL. Thorne, hoping to spring his trap to catch his prey, the mutinous Commander Argus. I can imagine him lying in bed at night thinking of it, slapping the handcuffs on me, dragging me off to some labor camp or worse. The smile he would have in his dreams about catching me. Well, I have other plans for Thorne. Other plans indeed. This concludes Officer's Log Argus Victor Commander, RACO Station.
Well, here it is. The final episode of Empire's End. For now. Unless we don't finish it this episode, in which case I'll edit this out.
To Empire's End and new beginnings.
So, have a couple unresolved issues that is preventing this new order from moving forward. You've made your deal with the Jebwick Sector Command, your new sector commander, Admiral Rorvat. You have gotten the entire complement, minus 8 individuals, on board with this. You've even convinced Kuiper, in the person of Merida Falcona, to basically break away and form a new corporation out here and be rerouting things a little differently. But Kuiper's got some ass coming in, ass and assets, and so does the old Empire, the old ERC Empire. So there's plenty of other little threads we have dangling here and there, but that's what's got to wrap up before you guys can move into this new relationship. You have to really break things off with your ex.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You guys that still you're still kind of
Still texting.
still texting.
Yeah.
Are you on a break? Is it
Clean.
We're not it's not cool to see other people yet. So
Lots of questions.
you still
Lots
have
of questions.
shit at
I'm
each other's
sorry,
houses.
I found another admiral.
One who listens.
He listens to me. He's kind.
He supports me.
One who
Supports me.
takes action.
He never takes my tie interceptors away. So, you guys have had some time to think about it. Nice long week.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's the plan?
Nero is got a meeting with the Black Jesters.
All right.
And I'm going to reach out to Merida, I being Argus.
Not Vargas.
Not
Vargas.
Not yet.
Not to be confused with.
Okay. And what about those pesky Imperials?
Randar, whenever good old Argus is available, Randar will probably want to have a meeting about the strategy going forward.
Maybe we should cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah.
Nero will take the opportunity to go through a lot of Thorne's personal effects
Okay.
and look for any communication that he may have had with Compnor that could suggest the incoming arrival of the Imperials. So he's looking for information on their arrival.
Okay. All right. Nice.
Yep.
All
I
right.
figured that would be a way to, they might send the details of the incoming forces and support and et cetera.
Sure. Matt, anything Doctor needs to work on?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think he's probably trying to catalog his new pet.
I know what Argus may ask the doctor to do.
Okay.
I would ask him to reach out to the governor and see if he's have you seen Thorne? Is
Okay.
he on the planet, perhaps?
One thing that I guess,
We wouldn't know, though. There'd be a missing ship.
yeah,
Yeah.
unless there was an escape pod missing.
No, we
But-
would know that, too, I think.
Ships do go back and forth
Yep,
daily
yep.
to the planet.
Okay.
One thing that Nero probably brings up, something maybe we should have discussed earlier, is we're about to get cut off from a information and communication point of view. From, in terms of intelligence, Nero has all of a sudden realized that database may not be accessible. I don't know how it works in Star Wars, but I assume that they can shut off our Ethernet cord.
Yeah, basically the HoloNet is a one-way. It is Empire outwards.
Yep.
It's not to say that couldn't set up a little Radio Free Europe or a Radio Not Free Jabuic, Radio Empire Europe.
Welcome to Radio RACO. This is Nero Horn, your DJ.
Yes, definitely something to consider.
Okay.
This one goes out to a special Commodore officer still hiding in the jungle.
We miss you, Thorne, and wish you come back safely.
Dum, 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 dum.
I really see this playing out.
Stand by me.
All right. So, I think that's just an aside, I suppose.
All right. First off, Dan, why don't you give me, what do we want to call that? Security or computer? Probably computer programming. Is that what you have? That
I have computer programming, and I also have RACO mainframe.
wouldn't be that.
Just to get into
Thorne stuff.
probably security then, right? They're the same. How about that?
Okay. Yeah, just roll it.
Not great. 20.
20. Okay. You just get the details about ComForce, their detachments, intelligence officer, and I believe it said 2 squads of ComForce or a platoon, and
Did it say a name of a ship?
Aurora's Edge.
We know that.
You know
That's from early days.
that is a Karak class light cruiser,
Yep.
Do we know the prefix codes?
and that
That's a big boy.
is no fucking joke. That is a 350 meter long capital ship
Woof.
Ooh.
with a light company, say 140 troops,
Oh my lord.
Fuck.
10 heavy turbo lasers, only 4 TIE fighters, and 20 laser cannons.
Bruh.
It's no joke.
Yeah.
That is, at best, a toss-up
Yep.
between RACO's full armament, the 2 corvettes,
Yeah.
and everything else you can put in the sky. I love this heavy silence. I was going to make it easy. I was going to make it easy.
Last episode?
Just show up and wave a stick at them and they run away?
Yeah, that's right.
Fuck you.
I'm glad I'm just a medical officer in this motherfucker right
So
now.
why don't you, we'll say, Nero, you, I assume, pass that information on?
Randar,
Yes.
you get a comm.
Yep.
Randar.
Nero.
I am perusing Officer Thorne's messages.
Anything good?
The ship coming. It's the Aurora's Edge.
There's like a silence on the end of the line.
And a large freighter.
Yeah. That's all right.
The large freighter will be in tow.
They're not going to back down from us.
Unlikely.
Okay. I'll appreciate it, Nero.
Of course. I'll leave you to the tactics. The comm clicks out. Nero pees on Thorne's bed. No.
Sorry, I'm just sitting over here comparing the RACO stats with
They're not great.
with the Karak. So just for comparison's sake, almost equivalent hull and shields between like RACO, especially the Avius,
Yeah.
and the Karak, between the Aurora's Edge. Much heavier armament and more armament on the Karak, but that doesn't include the 2 corvettes. I would say, it would be a toss-up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If it came to out-and-out fighting and both were not willing to, leave at a bloody nose, then nobody's walking away unscathed.
Yeah.
So, think on that.
Yeah.
In the meantime, so we have a couple conversations to have here. Matt, do you want to actually do your call down to the governor, or do you just want to put in a request about Thorne? What do we want to hear from Governor Redmare?
Always want to hear from the governor.
Yeah, we can. I could put in a little call to him.
All right, we'll do that, and then we'll talk to Marita,
Sure.
and then we'll talk to the jesters. So,
Is somebody going to tell Argus that the Aurora's Edge is coming?
It's not
Yeah.
my
When
job.
Randar was gonna talk to you about tactics anyway. So
okay. So,
I specialize in cap ships. That's why I say that.
call down, talk to the governor. Eventually, you get patched through by Fior Gast. And he says, Dr. Wilfug, I have Governor Redmare ready for you.
Thank you. Patch me through.
Aha! Doctor, how are you doing up there?
Governor, we are doing better now. We've straightened some things out.
Good. Well, things are moving along here. I'm in the command bunker right now, actually, and we've drawn the forces tight. We're patrolling heavily. The NCC seem to be falling in line well. I have them. I have Serwin out there, guiding them along, trying to train them up a bit and teach them how we give them what. So they're out there, and be assured, New Calais is secure. So I've been meaning to reach out to you and let Victor know it's I think we're about ready to get RACO back in orbit. So just let us know what we need to coordinate on that end.
Certainly, sir. I shall pass that on. In fact,
Actually,
I have
how's Norwin doing, guys?
I'm sorry?
How's Norwin? Is he on the up and up?
Quite, yes. Doing
Excellent.
much better.
Excellent. Yes, we'll once we get you overhead, we'll have to celebrate. Have a grand feast down here in the war room.
Certainly, perhaps a few games of sabak.
Yes, quite. I still have one coming for you.
Yes, well,
I'm going to take those credits right back out from you.
I've got a bottle of wine for you as well. But on a bit of a more serious note, we did have a traitor on board RACO Station recently. Everything is under control. I dare say we would like to have you keep a lookout for a Thorne, if you could.
Lieutenant Thorne,
Yes.
that promising young comp force officer.
Yes, he seems to have fallen prey to the wiles of Sela Lavar, if you remember her and the incident with Commander Hethna.
Indeed.
Seems unfortunately the brain slug, I'm sure you remember, he was afflicted with, it unfortunately took his life. He is no longer with us, and we are looking for Thorne.
Wait, did you just tell him that you told him that
He
Norwin
told
was
him
doing
Norwin
well?
was doing fine.
I think that would have been a
shit.
mistake.
Sorry,
by Matt.
yeah.
I thought you meant to. So you didn't mean to lie to him?
No, I did not, no.
Epic.
You lost Norwin? Oh,
We did, yes. The complications to removing the slug proved too much.
unbelievable. This son of our. I need to speak to the Moth. We need whatever bounty is posted on her. And then she somehow twisted Lieutenant Thorne. I mean, I'd say that woman's nethers, the Sarlacc pit, has nothing on them to rope in such men of fine character.
What a classy dude.
Yes, she
For 1,000 years.
does seem to have powerful wiles, sir. But if if you hear or see Thorne, please be sure to
Yes.
take him under custody and let us know immediately.
Very well. Perhaps it must make sense that this brain organism you speak of, it must have his hold on Thorne as well. Comforce would never let anyone but the best get through. So
Agreed.
but we'll be on the lookout. I'll let Sirwin know, and we'll be looking around down here. And meanwhile, just tell Victor to go ahead and send a message about RACO's arrival. I'll sleep better at night with that sight overhead.
I shall.
All
Talk to you
right,
soon, Governor.
Yes. I usually walk the lines around this point. It's good to a little bit of a leadership lesson for you in case you find yourself in a posting such. It's important for the troops to see the commanders.
King Henry.
So just
I shall
put that in the back of your pocket.
keep it noted, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for the
Yes, quite.
advice.
This guy's the brave heart of Caleri.
Nuclear actual out.
He learned that from
You can
me.
hang it up, Fjord. Hang it up. All right. Dean. Argus
Yes.
calls over to Marita.
I do.
Okay. Yes.
Marita.
Argus.
Yes, it is I. Listen, I understand that we have a mutual problem, and I wanted to talk to you about this personally. Your shipment that's arriving, here, going to cause a bit of a problem for you, isn't it?
I would say it's a bit of a problem for both of us, Victor.
Indeed. I have a solution.
I'm all ears.
Is this channel secure?
It is.
Good. Well, we discovered a traitor in our midst, as you know, and he's been apprehended. The intelligence of that traitor came to us from an unlikely source. Our mutual adversary in the Black Jesters.
Pirates.
Pirates.
And they tipped their hand about this one.
They certainly did.
And what did they ask for? Perhaps one of my freighters.
They asked for much. And, well, it didn't occur to me that the information brokering that we were engaging with, Marita, would lead to your company paying the debt, but since you're no longer part of Kuiper, is it Marita Enterprises now?
I've been workshopping some names, but nothing quite so personally grandiose.
Victor just laughs to himself. Well, your old boss, your old company, are going to pay the debt. I think that would be mutually beneficial to us both. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, quite. I suppose some details on your end that I could provide might be helpful to that resolution?
Indeed.
Yes.
And we will pass that information along to them through certain channels. And we will make it clear that you cooperated with us. You understand these pirates. It's not going to stop them from future attacks of opportunity on any type of shipping that your, well, as yet to be named company will likely have to endure. But of course, this new arrangement, we will do our best to ensure that they leave your ships alone.
Very well. Cost of doing business.
Indeed. A wash, I guess you would say.
It's a shame. There's a lot on there that would be quite useful.
I agree.
Perhaps with too many complications.
That's the long and short of it, Marita. We'd rather not engage in some kind of combat with them. Not until we have received our own resupply.
Very well. I would like to hope that you would work on making sure the Jesters aren't a threat going forward to our venture.
We have no love for piracy.
Of course not.
Nor do we have any love for anything damaging to come between our new relationships.
Yes. And I'm sure, Victor, you're working on getting those final details and assurances drawn up.
They're being sent over to Juboa Kai Command as we speak.
Excellent. It's a pleasure as always, Victor.
Indeed. I hope you have a nice evening. Remember, not many days from now, we're going to be visited by these Arif types. It
Yes.
could get complicated.
Well, if there's anything I can do,
There might be.
there will be a cost, of course, that this new corporation will have to request for assets.
I see.
I have to make sure my people are provided for, Victor, as you do.
Safety is very expensive. Costs blood.
Blood and treasure. That's what decisions are made for.
Good luck naming your new enterprise, Marita. Have a good evening.
You as well, Victor.
I hang up. Where's that?
Cut across to a secure comm station. Nero is locked in there, making sure that there's no eyes, windows blacked out. You punch in the one-time transmission frequency you were given the last time you interacted with the Jesters.
Mm-hmm.
It starts pinging.
Can I assume real quick, Josh, that the information she gave relevant to that shipment, we time these conversations accordingly?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that you have that to provide.
Just if the listener's confused about that.
Mhm.
What Marita sends to me, I give to Orn.
Yep. It tones for maybe a minute. And then you hear a droid come online. Transmission accepted. Identify.
Lieutenant Nero Orn.
Lieutenant Nero Orn. Received. Contact searching for.
Jazir Starfall.
Jazir Starfall. Please wait. Another couple minutes go by.
Mm-hmm. I think about this process. You know, I'm a communications guy.
Yep.
And I just think about how these back channels are working.
You assuming this is some sort of relay.
Mm-hmm.
And probably voice coded.
Mm-hmm.
Probably what the droid is there for.
Yep.
Already has your voice print.
And I do know of a outpost that has no life forms.
Nice, man.
Yep. Okay. I'm just thinking about it.
Hello, Nero.
I greet him in Twi'lek.
Ah, you
Is it-
speak the good tongue. Are you comfortable speaking this?
If it pleases you.
Well, one always wants to talk in the mother's tongue.
Very good.
I think you resolved your problem with that pesky friend of yours.
We did, and we appreciate the information.
Yes. So, it seems that RACO 72 is in the debt of the Black Jesters.
I am here to discuss that repayment. Yes.
Please, I am all ears.
Kuiper, your target, will be receiving a shipment in addition to reinforcements. I understand that their security, their happiness is important. We don't want to tip the scales too far in one direction. As they are now, suits us here at RACO. And I believe it suits you.
Yes, what did they say? The cow must produce.
That is correct. Kuiper will be receiving this shipment. It will be a system patrol craft. It will be carrying over 50 tons of 93 grade fuel, something your starships no doubt need.
Yes.
And if the security forces do not reach Kuiper, they are status quo.
I see. Well, Kuiper, deep pockets, I think they usually pay for their personnel. If some of them manage to make it.
Perhaps even new recruits.
Well, the offer's always there, but those corporate types, they are short-sighted.
I understand.
Well, I hope maybe you can transmit on this frequency more details of armament.
I can. I have all the details available, including the jump point.
Very well. And I know that we will not see any signs of Imperial craft when we arrive.
You have my assurance.
That's good. Very well. Well, I think maybe we not quite call it square. I think Jazir thinks that maybe this helps you even more than I stand to gain.
Perhaps. Kuiper is important to us in that they produce.
Yes. Let's have the next one I expect to hear be a little bit less prickly.
I understand.
Within 30 days, then we will be back square.
You hear, I pause for a second.
Call Argus so he can tell this guy to fuck off.
The fuel alone is incredibly valuable out here.
Yes, it is, and so are the ships and men I may lose that I risk going up against armed system patrol craft. Come, Nero. You know better than to say that this is just a juicy target.
Agreed.
Security forces on board, they don't give up as easily as a freighter.
The rebel agent was not an easy pill to swallow either. We lost men.
Well, how many would you have lost if he had continued?
What if I tack on his bounty?
Oh, a pittance.
Double.
10,000 it was? Come. Nero, I lose that in a game of sabak.
Well, then I cover your round. But the next shipment that I tip you off to, that is just a product of our ongoing relationship.
Jazia thinks you drive hard bargain, and maybe someone is pulling on your leash.
You know the people I have worked for in the past.
Yes. No longer.
Things are changing, Jazir. I will keep you in mind.
Very well. The Black Jesters always look for the right fit. If your new arrangements don't work out.
I understand.
Very well. I'll await the details.
They will come within 48 hours.
New code to follow.
I click off the comm after I get the code.
All right.
Does it beep at the commander's door?
Enter.
The door opens.
You step through the threshold.
I see you've installed a new door, Victor.
And a new security system. I just need to scan you. Fucking ludicrous scene.
Oh, God. I'm glad we got it in our last episode as well.
Yeah.
Randor,
Victor.
please have a seat.
Thanks. Well, news from Nero. He found out what ship is bringing all those comp force. It's the Aurora's Edge,
Of course it's
not some Corvette.
the Aurora's Edge. Ooh, this is difficult.
A prickly one, to be sure. With it and the fighters aboard, and even the freighter itself, whatever turbo lasers that has, we're about even.
I'm not sure what the freighter has, but I know there's 10 on the Aurora.
Heavy turbo lasers.
10 heavy. They've got 20 regular.
20 are just laser cannons.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So
10 heavy. Okay.
the laser cannons honestly are
Starfighter.
well, they're not even. That's one of the weaknesses of the crack is they're not good against starfighters and they don't carry a lot themselves.
Yeah.
So those laser cannons are still capital scale, which means they have a hard time hitting starfighters.
So they're like freight. They can hit freighters and like.
Yep.
They can hit space stations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can pound away.
We must outfox our opposition, Randar. That puts us at less than half odds in this.
Knowing the commander that's coming, he's not going to stand down from a fight,
Of course.
especially at 50-50 odds.
He's overconfident.
He's confident.
Very well. I would be too if I was in his position. I think if I was in a reverse position that I could easily make RACO submit.
Especially not knowing how many of the TIE fighters we have will actually fire upon their own in combat.
We have work to do. I open up a star chart.
Your
of the
data
system.
pad flashes.
What the fuck is happening in
Argus, your data pad flashes.
I look at it.
It just says a deal has been brokered.
Looks like Orn has taken care of our debt to the jesters. I show you the pad.
Debt to the jesters?
Yes. You didn't know about this.
No.
They provided the intelligence for the trader.
And what are we paying them back with?
Kuiper.
The incoming ships? You're going to hand those criminals?
We are no longer in business with Kuiper. We're in business with Merida Enterprises.
I'm sure Merida Enterprises would appreciate that we don't hand the Black Jesters weapons, arms, and hostages.
Before you walked in, she exactly would like that to happen. We just got off the phone. We just got off the phone. The fuck?
we're doing dumb sound effects.
He's got like the corded phone on the,
Argus has the cord around his finger.
like just while he's like
awesome.
twirling it while he's talking to her.
I'm on my belly kicking my feetsies.
His black leather gloved fingers twirling the cord.
Kicking my feetsies while on my belly.
To all our young listeners, phones used to have cords. All right.
I say yes. I thought for certain no one would have told you.
Well, it keeps me in the dark.
Yes, I understand.
All right.
Well, this helps our new allegiance with Merida.
This is why I pumped that chain of command for a little while. You got to work up your good
Pumping
karma.
down.
He's got to put fucking chips in the bank with
That's
you.
right.
Because he's making a lot of withdrawals.
To be honest, Victor, I don't really care. What I care about is these incoming forces.
As do I.
In this conflict. I'm not confident in our ability to show enough force to get them to turn tail.
I put the iPad down and I do the data pad, and I open up an image of the star area and the surrounding VAD belt.
I think the only way we will win this conflict, if it comes to it, is to use what's the ship's name?
The incoming ship?
No, the galleon.
The
Avius.
Avius.
Is to use what weapons are on the Avius to our advantage as a defensive platform, base of fire. Specifically, the concussion missile tube in front. If we can orient the station to where they're coming in and get them to stop their ship within firing range and firing arc of the front concussion missile, and long enough for us to get a shot on, when they attack us, we unload on them with concussion missile barrage. They won't think it's coming. They think the station is just turbo lasers.
Yes. I look at the VAD belt. How far away is it?
Fucking 40 space units. Sorry.
How many astronomical units is that?
I don't exactly know.
So what are they called? They're called like
let me
AUs,
explain
right?
to you. Let me explain
AUs.
to you Victor's thinking.
Okay.
And maybe I should roll tactics before I make a dumb decision of moving the station into the surrounding area to be protected by asteroids. From the gigantic capital ship, we can limit its ability to come after us and maneuver. They might have to come with fighters. We might have an advantage in that.
So that's one thing they don't have much of, which
Correct.
is fighters. They have like
It'd be difficult for
They have
them to
a
chase us
flight.
in the rocks.
they have a flight
Sure.
of recon ties.
Yeah, okay.
They're even less armed. than a regular TIE fighter.
Yeah.
They're probably fast, but
They're fast and they have good sensor packages.
Yeah.
And it might give us, it might tip the scales a little from a maneuver. We have to limit that ship's ability.
Dean, give me a tactics capital. Do you have capital ships?
I do. It's a special.
First time he got to
special-
roll it.
special-
we're going to use our tractor beams, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty good. 9, 10, 17, 18.
Do we have a tractor
I'm
beam?
going to use a character point
No.
to make it a cool 20.
All right.
It's
I'm gonna
a 6. So that's a 20.
24.
Thank you. 25.
Josh, I'm going to spend my 1 character point to say that RACO Station has a tractor beam.
Fuck yeah.
Well done.
Interdiction.
Yep.
So Dean, you're thinking about this.
Yeah. Using the VAD belt somehow.
There's a potential there, but
Or some kind of
not
stellar
for
body.
not for RACO. RACO's biggest weakness is its lack of maneuverability.
Separate the saucer section, doggy.
If you you don't even know if you could do it in that
How
time
long?
frame.
Yeah.
You would have
That's
to
why
ask.
I was also thinking that too.
You'd have to ask Roy that.
Okay.
The Avius would certainly be better off. The Corvettes and the fighters, that would absolutely, they are all more maneuverable than the Aurora's Edge.
For sure. We want to take advantage of its slowness.
The Avius isn't exactly like a, it's
Yeah,
a star
it's
galleon,
yeah.
so it's a hell of a lot more maneuverable than it is in a space station. If you could pull that off, you don't really lose much being away from the rest of the station. There is like
Keep the civilians safe.
keep the civilians safe.
Another look where the good guys move.
You would limit your softer target, part of that, which in some ways would be shielding.
Does it though, or does it give them something that is a potential hostage?
That's the other thing. It depends what their objective is.
And they can hold them and wait for a fucking Star Destroyer to
I was
jump
thinking
in,
the same thing
jump
too.
in the station.
If they played the waiting game, we just didn't come after us. That's a possibility. But that's where, if we want to be meta-narrative losers, we can just say, well, he's not going to do that. And if he does, then
So-
the other ship will just show up from our
What
side.
you start thinking about is what is his objective.
Correct.
So his objective is to take over command of
Correct.
RACO
he wants
station.
the RACO thing. Come get it. That's what I say.
So if you separate, the Avius is obviously critical to RACO station.
Mm-hmm.
But if you, if the Avius is broken off and you essentially leave RACO undefended, you'd
I'd rather
imagine
not do that. Yeah.
I think the better option, if it is possible in the time frame to break the
Drag
AVS
the
off,
station.
Well, no, to break AVS off, but leave it looking attached. So when they jump in, it looks all normal. But when it gets to a fight, we can remove the AVS from the station and take the little bit of risk out from civilians getting hurt, but still be in the range of the RACO station to defend it and maneuver the AVS, be able to use its front firing missiles and all that shit. So I think it is a worthwhile thing to talk to Roy to see if we can remove the Avius.
For sure.
Would a skeleton crew be required on RACO in order to accomplish that?
You
Well,
can
I guess-
evacuate them down to the planet, but
Yeah.
now you have to answer that.
I mean,
Yeah.
the station, it did support itself before.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
Especially if you got Plat Montari on board
Yeah.
and he had the civilians basically crew it.
Right.
Yeah.
You're depending on him, but that would also allow you, and that's the only way you can fully crew. Your naval personnel would be bare bones what you need, not skeleton crew, but fully effectively to man Avius, the 2 corvettes, and all your fighters.
Yeah.
That's like everybody at the station.
Right.
So
Yeah.
leaving RACO with just the civilians.
So yeah, Randar says, if we can break the Avius off, if it's even possible in the time frame, I'm sure Roy would love this. But if we can leave it somewhat attached so it looks normal when they jump in. And when they attack, we can separate and put the full brunt of this galleon against them. And remove ourselves from the civilian casualties that will occur if we remain attached.
Indeed. We need to get ourselves out of these deadly firing arcs of this vessel, or we're going to be in a very difficult situation.
That thing, the lasers and turbo lasers on it, they're not going to be able to deal with starfighters. So as long as we keep range and use the starfighters to strike, we can disable engines, disable quad lasers, especially if we can disable the heavy turbo lasers, then the aviators can get close and finish the job. They do have that platoon or company. No, platoon. As a company. They do have that company of Comforce. So any kind of boarding action.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. So, yeah, they have probably their own troops on board.
Oh, yeah, but they have, okay, yeah. There is, those ships carry many men, and there also is a platoon of Comforce. If we do any kind of ship action, we're going to be outmatched.
Of course.
We have to get them to run.
We do.
Or destroy. He kind of says, kind of half under his breath.
You think about all your troops that you've put in the situation to make this choice, and then in just a matter of days, especially if it seems if it appears that you guys are the aggressors,
yeah,
you don't know. You don't know if even guys who said they're on board with this
we'll do it.
Immediately having to put their crosshairs on.
What I do know is that they will have to shoot first. We cannot be the aggressors in this. Even if we're preparing for the worst, and that's what it is, we can't be the aggressors. We can't ambush them. We have to provide a show of force. Give them the option to leave. Just like we gave the other officers. If we don't, we'll lose more. Mutinies, or just ignoring orders, not firing.
We must be careful with this. We don't need any impassioned speeches flipping anyone that's already here. We'll have to limit communications on the ship.
Of course.
I don't want them to be able to communicate with anyone here. Pardons and whatnot. Whatever they decide to sell. I don't like to say this in this situation, Randar, but I do believe you're right, even though I do believe he who shoots first is the victor. Most of the time. We're putting ourselves on the back foot, which I don't like, but I think there's something to be said in what you're telling me.
Let's put it this way, Victor. I'm not going to shoot first.
I understand. I appreciate your conviction, Randar. That's why you're my executive officer.
I thought I was your executive officer so I could do all the paperwork.
That too. Speaking of which, how did the promotion go? Braylon?
Well, he took it well. He seemed to be convinced.
Great. He was always a good officer. Excellent fitness reports.
Yes. Well, I say I can talk to Roy. Ask him. I'm sure I'll get the answer that it's not possible, but he can get it done anyways.
Yes. Well, I feel like we're still missing something. I don't like this. My instincts are driving at something that I don't like here.
Perhaps your instincts are wrong, Victor, in this instance. It's not about projecting...
It would be the first time.
It's not about projecting power or aggression. It's about preserving the people we have on this station. Preserving their life, like you said.
That's what it's always been, Randar. I'm not suggesting anything different. I'm just saying something seems to be missing from this engagement, and I feel it's going to cost us. We need a strategic advantage. This is too close. I don't like that. The Savius move could be it. I'm not sure. I look again at the map, at the system
map, yeah,
and see if I get any inspiration.
The only advantage we have is an ambush. And in that, we are the aggressors.
All right. Well, Argus and Randar, you're in the depths of this conversation. You've kind of laid out some things. So kind of want to step back from here, and you've got some planning to do. So how do you guys want to go about this?
I think
are there ideas you want to kind of kick around just around the table as players, or Do you need a strategy planning session in character? What do you want to do?
Well, here's what I think. I don't want to get too held up on the morality of who's going to shoot first. I think we should have a plan in place, and then we're going to feel we're going to feel quite vulnerable since this fight's already a toss-up. If we bandy words, as it were, over the who's going to shoot first, who's going to shoot second. Let's just know. I think we should prioritize targets and decide. Here's the priority that we need to consider should things get fucking ugly.
I think,
for example, their 10 turbo lasers is kind of their greatest threat to us. I think those should be like one of our priority targets.
Yeah.
Engaging them with starfighters. I don't know from a rules perspective, but I think that's kind of cinematic. It's quite Star Wars.
Sure, yeah.
But using starfighters to take out turbo lasers with very minimal pushback from them, because we're not expecting many ties to be in this, but just doing that, like laying out like what are some like major. The biggest threat to us is 10 turbo lasers.
Yeah.
They'll destroy this place.
I think this is the right way also because it just leaves the door open for kind of creatively for it to go any direction.
Sure.
Rather than trying to script who goes first or who doesn't.
Right. I agree.
So, I mean, tactically, we talked about, outside of this, we talked about a few different possibilities.
For sure.
Should we go over those?
Yeah, let's do it. And I think we should probably, for the sake of the listener, if I may be meta for just a moment, and for the sake of ourselves, we don't want to get too lost in the waters on the plan. I think we want to go like, here's like a couple of bullets. Let's execute them and
Roll dice, see what happens.
Yeah.
see what happens.
All right. Anybody got some clever ideas?
So first, I think the biggest target, as I was just saying a moment ago, has to be the turbo lasers on that vessel. Because they don't have any close air support or combat air patrol, as it were.
Yep.
So they're very vulnerable to starships buzzing around that thing and banging on those turbo lasers. Even if we can destroy half of them, we're in a way better position. Because we have 10 ourselves. And Josh said this is a toss-up. I think it becomes much less of a toss-up as we take out heavy turbo lasers. And I think we have the pilots to do it.
Yeah.
I think that's the first thing we should do.
I think-
should we do this in character? What do you want to do? Or table talk this?
Yeah, I was kind of thrown out there to table talk it.
I think we table talk it because I don't think Gaius is going to have much of an opinion, like in character,
enough.
on how to like tactically do this. But I mean,
You're
I
gonna
would
launch
I would just like to say
the
like
biological weapon, right?
yeah,
we're gonna get a new ship.
Torpedo slug away.
Yeah, we're gonna get a new ship with some brain slugs.
I mean,
infection.
their goal. Their goal isn't necessarily to destroy us. I agree that turbo
Correct.
lasers
Right.
are important, but like if we go get the fuck out of here, they're not just gonna. How many people are on this station?
On the station or on their ship?
On our station on RACO.
A few hundred.
Yeah, a couple hundred Imperial and then another 300-400 civilian.
Which puts into perspective the fact that there's 1,000 on board their ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
140 of which are, quote, troops, which means dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so I think one of the priorities should probably be something in case they do try to board. If,
I agree.
Like if they decide to send half their complement, we're outnumbered right off. So I don't think it's number 1 or 2, but
I think we can marry our plans, Matt. And I say that because the turbo lasers would be destroyed by starfighters, as would any boarding operations.
Yeah.
okay,
They have they have minimal escorting. So if if push comes to shove and they want to jam a bunch of these boarding operators on, they're not going to even make it to the ship, is the hope.
Unless the crack goes right in and like
Yep.
Tries to breach dock or
breach
something.
docks directly.
Yep. We had talked about also, just in terms of talking about using our TIE fighters to our advantage, just in general, bringing in a bunch of freighters to operate as like 2 possible options. 1, to hide TIE fighters in them.
Yep.
So they're out in the field already and can kind of surprise folks. And then also possibly rigging them to explode so that they're essentially a minefield.
Yep. And also putting the concussion missile launcher from the Argus onto a freighter as well.
That's if Roy can do it.
That and also splitting the
Yep.
ship off of the station.
I'll tell you, at best, he could do one of those
One of those
things.
two, yeah.
Either of those things is a massive engineering endeavor.
Either of what?
Splitting the ship from the station, or to pull the concussion launcher off of the ship
Okay.
and put it in a freighter as a glass cannon.
I like glass cannons.
So I like glass cannons too. It's definitely the more aggressive thing, but demonstrating we care about the civilian lives. No, I'm kidding. But to demonstrate we care about the people on board, the Avius separation is.
I mean,
But then again, what if they use that against us? What if they say, "We'll destroy this thing if you don't surrender"?
well, the other thing is if we separate the Avius from the station, that concussion missile launcher is more deadly now because we can point it in the right direction.
Aha, because
So it wouldn't be a concealed weapon, but it would be a weapon we could then employ even if they know that it's active. And
This is true.
Yeah.
So the
Okay.
question becomes, what can a concussion missile do against a Karak class cruiser? I don't think much if it's Starfighter versus Cap scale, correct?
It's cap versus cap.
Yeah, it's cap first.
Oh,
cap.
right.
Yeah, it's a big old.
It's 9 dice, I think.
Yeah,
It's significant.
Yeah, definitely more if they're not.
but their
Expecting
shields
it.
have to be down,
Right.
right? Or no?
Their shields get defense against it.
Shields
Yeah,
are
okay.
weird in Star Wars. It's
Yeah.
not like Trek.
Well, isn't there the difference between energy and concussion? No.
Deflector shields, they call them.
Without getting like wildly into
Sure.
it, your hull rating includes.
Yeah.
I see.
Deflectors, right?
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
And then you can focus it and shit. It's weird.
We also didn't you guys bring up the Corvettes?
Yeah. So, keeping the Corvettes in the VAD belt, either partially powered down or whatever, and then have a pre-programmed jump point.
Probably just being near the VAD belt would give them the cover
Enough
required.
cover.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they can just bounce in with a short hyper jump.
On Nero's
Skipping.
end. Yeah. On Nero's end,
As a Skywalker says so.
he was talking about outfitting the Viper droids with a communications jammer package.
I like it.
And doing like a kind of a pyramid that once they kind of flew into it would jam anything within that space.
I like that.
And I think lastly on my list was possibly being able to pull a favor from the Jebawick,
Okay.
the crew, whatever that's going to be, either
more fighters or-
fighters or I don't know, explosives that we need for the freighters or whatever.
And I think if Randar's guys, like we could use like signal lights. That's very much a BSG thing. It's one of the cool things about BSG. There's this moment where like, you know, they're looking at this other ship and communications around. You see, boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
like they're flashing lights in Morse code. I was like, that's fucking sick. Because they're like saying, "Who are you? Why are you here?"
Right.
Yeah.
Like if we, because jamming is going to jam us, right?
Correct.
And it
Well,
might hurt.
It's kind of weird. I think, Josh, we'd have to talk to you about this. I was reading up on the communications jammers, and the Death Star had tons of them. And it says, like, in the description of it, obviously it didn't jam the communications in tracking of the Death Star, but we're not necessarily at that capability. So,
yeah, and don't worry too much about how anything would work in a mechanical sense.
Sure.
You guys tell me like what you're trying to do.
course.
Yep.
You know, like targeting shit. I don't know, like the rules
Targeting
on
a
that
turbo.
or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
We'll figure that out.
Right.
basically, when I was like reading up on the jammer packages, it was that they affected enemy sensors and targeting computers as well as blocking communications. It did kind of over those three categories.
So I would probably make you pick which thing
Sure.
do you want to affect the most.
And I would pick their ability to use fire control with turbo lasers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just because
Well-
I think their communication, they're again, they have little outside of their own ship to communicate with except us.
Yep.
Unless they're trying some impassioned, everyone turn on Argus and surrender or
Right,
spirit of
right.
life bullshit.
I
Which
guess-
we want to be careful of that.
Sure. The other question, Josh, would be: would anyone in kind of the zone that I've kind of that I've set up be affected, or would it just be those with like our enemies?
It depends what you're trying to do.
Sure.
Right.
Okay.
Fire control.
Fire control, I think, is our focus.
All right.
Turbo lasers got to be our target.
What was I going to say?
And then
It's the teeth of this.
one thing to consider too, it's the Aurora's Edge. Your goal is to get the Aurora's Edge to leave.
Yep.
Yeah.
The other goal is to get the freighter to stay because you want all the shit on the freighter.
Right.
There's a squadron of TIE fighters. There's a ton of parts, starfighter fuel, a lot of shit that you guys, if you don't get it, maybe you can get it from Jibbowick, but
Really,
certainly.
we'd want to target like the hyperdrive.
I think
if
I think
we
that's
could.
the Corvette
Okay.
target would
Yep.
be
Yeah.
taking out the engines
Tractor
of
beams?
the
I
freighter.
think Corvettes have tractor beams.
They do not.
No interdiction.
The only thing that has a tractor beam is the Aurora's Edge.
Great. So we just capture the Aurora's Edge and we use its
There we
tractor
go.
beam.
Perfect.
Flawless.
Love it when a plan comes together.
The Borg have locked hunters with tractor beams.
We'll just have the party board.
Nice knowing you.
We'll just have the party board
They just beam in.
with
Oh, fuck.
5 of us on 1,000.
Here's what I know. We get a narrow enough hallway, we can kill 1,000
All right, roll for
stormtroopers.
initiative.
I got fucking carpal tunnel from rolling shots. Just endless stormtroopers. So let's decide what do we need to do mechanically, and then we'll do this narratively, right? We'll talk to the required people. We'll
like
talk
that.
to Roy.
Yep.
So split off the Avius from
We still
RACO.
like that. Do we?
I
do,
like
do,
that.
Okay.
Sure. I mean,
I'm willing to hear. However, I'm willing to hear all sides of
the only
those
thing
two
that,
options.
to me, logistically, I guess, I don't know how much of an advantage it gives us versus having the hidden weapon.
I'll say, because I'm going to explain stuff that, your Imperial Navy characters would know thinking about this.
Yeah.
The one downside of that is it's completely apparent to the Aurora's Edge. Like, even if you don't do it initially, like once it starts splitting away, they know something is up.
Sure.
And then it's a set piece battle.
Yeah.
Potentially. You know what I mean?
course,
It's
of
not
course.
like suddenly the fucking Avius is, like you're
We don't bamf over to like a strategic position and then fire
right.
on them.
So as soon as you start moving, the Avius starts moving away from RACO,
like,
something is clearly.
It's funny. There's a part of me that's like, move away from RACO to protect it, but then are we endangering it by moving away from it? Right? I don't know. If the Empire, if these guys get desperate, if the Empire behaves as the Empire does, they might try to threaten those people. But we know
Especially
they.
if you can't have my toys, no one can.
Exactly.
But yeah, but
But that's their mission too.
But if
so-
we split off from the RACO station, then we can position ourselves between them and RACO
this is true.
and just make it apparent that we're defending them.
Right. It's less of it's not a, hey, we got a sudden drop on you.
Yeah.
It's a
Our cards are
we're
on the
squaring
table.
off with
street
you.
fight,
Yeah.
Yeah. We're basically pushing all our chips into the middle of the fucking table.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
If we do that, right?
But a lot. So I think alongside the, the ultimatum of stay outside of 5,000 kilometers or meters or whatever.
Sure.
Probably kilometers in
Whatever.
space.
yeah.
If crossing that line is considered an act of war, or
Sure.
and we'll defend the RACO station if necessary. That and if they do cross, having the if we can get the Avius so that at the very least it's apparent or it's not immediately apparent that it's separated. I don't think it's that big a deal that as soon as we get into this conflict that it separates. Oh well, it's crazy,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if it's prepped to separate, it's not going to take that long.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In other words, we
There's no,
exchange. In other words, we parlay. They decline. We move. The
We
Avius.
separate. Yeah.
Okay, I got what you're saying. So, in that sense, it makes us it makes us able to protect them. So the question becomes: does it give us the greater chance of victory than sticking that thing on a freighter? I don't know, because I think ultimately victory is the best protection,
Yeah.
right? But I don't know how much better victory is. Is victory more insured if you have a? So
right, but that concussion missile launcher is protected by our shields and our hull.
I was just going to say
and
it's very
not in a empty freighter that will get blown
And
out of the sky with a turbo.
a freighter that's got 5 tractor beams trying to hit it a turn, right?
Yes.
I don't like that.
But again, at
Being able to fire it
at
where you
that
want it.
point, it's
Always.
you're in a battle.
Yeah.
They know they're in a battle, and there's no, you've lost the initiative in that
Yeah.
sense. Versus it being in a freighter,
Having a better, juicier target.
you have to be willing to take that first shot, but it's almost a guarantee that first shot is going to be significant.
Impactful.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you say we want to, use this thing as a, we're going to try to take out this system and that system or whatever,
Yeah.
then it's a potential
Propulsion.
Yeah.
massive sucker punch.
Right.
Yeah.
propulsion.
And Argus knows that there is I believe there is a weakness to the Karak. There's one notable one.
Yeah. We don't even have to get into
Yep.
what the specifics of it is. I
Sure.
think like what description
We can just
I
choose-
sent you, but like
Yeah.
there's something that you guys would know as
The idea of them jumping in with pointing their bow at us, which is what they're going to do. They're not going to jump in and then broadside us.
Mm-hmm.
We could probably limit arc if we can disable that fucker from turning. That's the
Yeah.
other thing. If a concussion missile shot can damage their ability to move laterally or to turn that thing and make it just sit, we could force it to use only a front arc on it.
Yeah.
I mean, is it conceivable that a well-placed concussion shot could effectively remove turbo lasers from the equation, at least against us, the RACO station?
Or at least a
If it can't-
percentage of them.
I'm trying. Let me think about it simply. They jump in. This isn't going to work. Okay, cool. And they're looking at us like they do in the movies. They don't come in and turn like this because
Sure.
they have nothing to suspect.
Right.
And then a concussion missile goes up their ass and they can't turn. Now they're kind of stuck, like just pointing their nose at us. That's
Right.
what I'm thinking. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's possible, but
10 heavy turbo lasers, 2 front, 2 back, 3 left, 3 right.
okay.
So it wants a broadside.
It wants a broadside always. Yep.
Presumably the front can kind of go to the sides as
I
well.
would imagine, yeah.
Yeah. So you get 4
Does
on
the front,
each
can
side.
the front reach the side?
I would say it depends on kind of positioning and range.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would imagine it's kind of like a 90-degree arc from the front. So it might, like if you're too far off to the side on its broadside, it might not get you, but
Yeah, it's a weird shaped vessel.
yeah, it
If
is.
it was more square, they could bring more weapons to bear, but
Yeah.
it's a rectangle.
Let's not wish for more square ships.
A board cutting beam activated. Cool.
We really separate station.
Yeah. And then they separate our fucking lives from our bodies. Okay, so 2, 2, 3, 3. So 2 front, 2 starboard, 2.
3 to the flanks, 2 front, 2 back.
Okay, got it. Okay.
So, and then you also, somebody mentioned what and if to ask requests from your Jeboic command.
Yeah, I mean, we're going up against a capital ship, so the obvious thing to me is TIE bombers. But barring that, more TIE fighters to just continue the assault on their turbo lasers. Yep.
So, okay, we got, whoever organizes it, but John probably on the Corvette jump and targeting the freighter.
Yep.
We've got the Ray focusing on the split of the station.
Roy?
Roy, excuse me.
Yeah, if you had Ray, you just say she could win.
She
We're
just
going to
wins.
ask Jeboic if they've got any bombers first, interceptors second. Yep. I'm going
Fighters
to work
last.
on the
Bombers?
communications. I'm going to work on the communications jammer.
I see.
And then the ones that we have kind of left over are the freighters as either tie hangers or as explosives.
Mhm.
And
I like explosives.
the possibility of a shuttle bomb landing with
Like a
them.
fire ship.
Yeah. Landing in on the Karak.
Like, here's your wilderness girl cookies. Jesus.
We sent you a welcome aboard package.
Who sent the rose?
I just don't think that with the timelines, I don't think us getting a shuttle aboard is
I think
at
us
all
declaring that
I
the
concur.
line is drawn here. Yeah.
Yeah. They're going to be like, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but you want to send us some muffins? Yeah.
The shuttle
Send 'em
bomb is
over.
way more devious. It's way more like, yeah, everything's fine.
Don't
And
worry
Nothing
about
is
it.
fucked here,
Yep.
dude. Yeah.
So, okay, no shuttle bombs. So the only 2 line items are for the freighters and whether they're set with explosives or set with TIE fighters.
Why not both?
We can do both.
Yeah.
Yep. Josh, I guess we'd
Just
have
get
to.
the TIE fighters out before you shut the explosives off.
One of them has Star Eyes in it, so it's fine.
Star Eyes! All right. Well, I think we have the elements of a plan in place.
Sure.
And deck to deck on Thorne.
I think for Vilfug, he should definitely load a torpedo with no explosives full of brain slugs.
I love
Just
this.
shoot her right through their hull.
Right up.
But can you do me a favor? Can you come up to me and say, I'd like to perform surgery on a torpedo?
I feel like you
Fascinating.
just hand him an explosive and things seem to go in a good
Yeah,
direction.
just kick
So
it.
let's just start there.
Just give it a kick.
This is gonna end with you trapped on the other side of the glass somewhere and like me putting my hand on it.
All right. Why don't we do this? So, Dean,
Yeah.
you are going to, Argus is going to make a request through the Dark Star
Through the dark stuff.
for some support. Is that right?
Good guy stuff.
Correct.
I'm going to, we do a lot of role playing around here. Mm-hmm. I'm going to make you make a roll.
Oh.
Oh.
Ooh. It's a seduction roll.
Number one. What episode is this? 24?
25.
24.
Okay. Well,
24.
doesn't
24?
matter though, does it? Because I'm a little heated. I'm going to tell you why. Because I had a die disappear. And if anybody has been listening to this arc, this is utter treachery. By the way,
It's called the Speckled Hen. It's a named die.
it's called a speckled hen.
Infamous.
Peace be upon him.
Yep.
And let me tell you this right fucking now. There's 1,000 dice in this place. 1,000. And I don't see one fucking speckled hen, which, by the way, is a bunch of bullshit.
So you don't have accountability for your own gear. And here you are, a commanding officer.
I assume that this business, this so-called business, that's security.
I will
Consult
say
the cameras.
the game master is not at fault here.
If I see my brother and he hands me the die, it's going to be a moment of reckoning.
He's pretty pissed he's not
I
in this
feel
arc.
I feel like Jake had it. No, maybe not.
He knowing Jake, he probably made a bad roll on it and like threw it across the fucking room. Dean, you have a specialty in something about bureaucracy, right?
I do.
Imperial military.
Yes.
You've never got to roll that, have you?
No.
don't
Typically, my role playing just rules the day.
Well, we waited this long in the arc to get down to the real part of role playing. ROLL.
Bureaucracy dice.
That's how we do it,
Ooh,
folks.
exciting.
24 episodes deep before you get to use your skills.
Their flavor. Give me bureaucracy.
Precisely when my die vanishes.
Right? It was the Imperial Navy?
Military, please.
Imperial military.
I'm not so limited.
Okay. What do you get there?
5 dice. This skill has sort of atrophied. Considering I shoot as well as I do imperial paperwork.
I feel like you may have taken it with you. Do you have a backpack with you? I feel like you may have taken
still
it.
talking about
Deck-
Speckled
I
Hen?
just ran my fingers
We're still talking about.
through this in ways that should be illegal. And I came up with no die.
Oh boy.
Okay. No, I
There's
trusted.
no chance it's at home in a gun locker or anything?
It's next to a bucket of rice and 3 handguns.
Remington, Glock, SIG, D6.
Oh, fuck. Grab me some dehydrated strawberries in the speckled hen. It's game night. I hope I don't need the gun. Okay, ready? 5 dice. Do I have any character points? I have no character
Did you
points.
leave those on the table too?
You got 4 at the end of 23.
Oh, yeah, I have 4.
Yeah.
I think I only have 4. And I have a force point that I earned. I saved your fucking ass. Okay. So far, so good. So that's a 10. 16.
16.
16 on 5 dice.
All right. I will say you put up the request and Commander Azilla talks about the difficulties of the appearances of this conflict
Yes.
and that once again, Jebo cannot be seen as the aggressor. Admiral Rorvat does not want. So to give you an asset that the Empire's ruling council know that VRX doesn't have is a no-go.
How about money?
But they will provide funding if it's needed to promise to Kuiper to acquire any of their assets,
We need fuel, right?
a nearly blank asset, and a flight of TIE fighters.
Cool.
Cool. I like it.
Very well. Break open the slush fund.
So that might cover some of what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
How much money?
X amount of
Minus what I
space
siphon
bucks.
into my personal accounts.
Enough to cover the requisition of a handful of
Things from.
freighters, transports, either
Okay.
from Kuiper or from unaffiliated or other company craft.
Okay.
Enough Imperial credits to essentially make it not stealing. The government
Yeah.
justified stealing, eminent
Yeah.
domain, that shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So whatever you want to do with your potential freighter plans can go forward. You've got an extra flight of ties that brings you up to a baker's dozen.
Nice.
Love
Boom.
it.
Yeah, so probably want to get enough 1 or 2 flights in freighters powered down if we can. And then, the interceptors probably will be the show of force with another flight of fighters.
Did we get a flight of TIE interceptors?
Fighters.
TIE fighters.
Fighters.
We already had 13, right? So now we have.
You had 13. You had 4 TIE interceptors, 9 TIE fighters. Now you have 4 interceptors, 13
Fighters.
That's nice.
You only rolled 16. I know you're good at role playing. That's why I went after the roll. And what is it? What miraculous task are you going to ask of Lieutenant Roy?
I believe splitting the Avius away from RACO.
This is going to go over well.
How many concussion missiles do we have?
That too, yeah.
Say a dozen?
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cold storage.
And let's keep top secret on the splitting of the Avius, because
Yeah.
if Thorne ends up in the civilian section, that's great.
I will say that's not something that you'll be able to keep secret.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of
because
work.
it's so
Okay.
such a big task.
Okay, that's fine.
It's just going to be, so much has to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, the Avius right now is powering all of RACO. It's, connected in multiple places. It's going to be a major,
sealing off airlocks and
Yep.
blah, blah. Yeah, it's going to be a big deal.
major endeavor to do that.
And we're certain nobody tattled on us, correct? Did Thorne? What's the communication?
No,
switch?
that was his communication was in station.
Okay.
Cessna left,
Within the station.
but due to the speed of their hyperdrive, they could not have password yet. Orn assures you that Thorne has not been able to get a message out of system. But yes, essentially everybody on the station is going to know that the Avius is separated.
Yeah.
Because we're leaving them.
All right. So you tell Roy that this station that he has been a part of building and constructing and making the Avius the critical component of over the last 6 months,
Yeah, it's going to tear
he
that
has 3 days to take it apart. So let's just cut to that real quick.
apart. Sure.
You're in the commander's staff room there.
Yeah.
The little meeting room. And you just told Roy that. And he says, you want me to take the Avius, 6 months of work, to get RACO even remotely as a functional space station. And you want me to take that apart, make the Avius not just space worthy, but battle worthy. 3 days.
3 days.
It's impossible. I mean, if I had double the engineering personnel and everything went according to plan, we got every lucky break, maybe, just maybe. Even with that, there's no guarantee we ever get this thing put back together the same way. I mean, we had engineering ships out here to help us when we first got this put together. I can do it, but I can try to do it. There's no promises. And you're not going to have any time, even if this impossible task happens, there's going to be no time to shake down everything you normally need to do to make sure that the Avius is ready to not just fight, but goddamn move halfway across the system.
You sound like you have this well under control.
God damn. I mean, I'm going to need priority on everything. I'm going to need extra crew. I'm going to need the whole civilian sector. I'm going to need to pull deck in. I'm going to need to pull engineering, maintenance.
Anything you need.
God damn.
Priority 1.
I mean, RACO is going to be at the best, the rest of the station is going to be running on backup life support.
Oh,
Anything goes wrong with that, well, they're shit out of luck.
indeed. Let's make sure that doesn't happen.
This thing going to need to be able to jump.
Well, while we're doing miracles, why not?
He puts his head down in his hands and just rubs his face. Too late to change my vote from fucking Jebbuick. God damn.
Well, my hope is that we don't all get forced into that decision.
Dock all the stims you got. We're going to go ahead and send them on down to engineering.
I can do that.
And anything. See the department heads. See the civilian sector. Whatever you need.
I'll be sure to do that, sir. I'll let you know. Let you know in 12 hours if this has even got a glimmer of hope.
Very well. 12 hours. I look at my chronometer.
He stands and bursts out. You've conveyed what you got from your call with Jebbuick. We'll say that some sort of supply ship is going to be jumping in, dropping off those ties in a couple days. And you also get a message in your inbox, Argus.
Excellent.
That it's sort of a
You've got mail.
typewritten or form written announcement just to you. It looks like it would be like a public release kind of document,
Okay.
but
Sweet.
it's sent just to you.
Okay.
And it's a announcement of the initiation of operations by New Horizons,
All right.
formerly operating as the Kuiper Corporation.
New Horizons.
Sounds like a retirement home.
For the memory of a lifetime. Recall.
So that was in response to you asking Marita about what her business name would be. So there we are. The entire station is just a blur of activity. You get the message in a few days, in a few hours from Roy that he's going to do his best to make it happen. But this is also going to take away from any efforts you had, anything beyond just putting something into a freighter.
Yeah.
So some of the fancier stuff you talked about doing with the freighters, you're going to have to give that up to make this happen. Could you, stick some, in a bulk transport that has the kind of wide, open the whole bay, stick some ties in there? Sure. But anything else about hiding a bomb or
remote,
explosive rig stuff to set up debris fields, that's off the table if you go with this. Okay. We good with that?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah. 10 turbo laser support. Okay. Well, I would like, Argus would like to tell Randar and Orrin that he'd like to talk to them for just a moment.
Very well.
And tell them to meet me in my ready room.
Is there an amount of time that you want to have passed by, or does it not matter? Any point in this?
Once I know the assets is secured.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Work is underway.
Gentlemen, sit down. Good news. I turn my data pad thing around and I show you what looks like lots of zeros that we can use to purchase things from New Horizons.
At least they weren't bluffing.
So that's the good news. Now we just need to figure out how we want to spend these assets, and each of our departments are going to require it. I will also walk down and talk to Roy personally. I didn't want to interrupt him from what is no doubt his most difficult task of his career.
Yeah, I think he's inventing new curse words down there.
I find this hardly surprising.
I see fighters, no bombers.
Correct.
Well, that'll be something at least.
They sent 4 TIE fighters. They're being loaded into the deck now.
Great.
And some financial support to keep themselves clean, as it were.
Nero's eyes have just been kind of tracking back between the two of you as you've been having this dialogue back and forth.
Not looking at the zeros on the screen.
He glanced at them and then kind of picked up on the conversation again.
Yeah.
And Nero looks tired. He looks bags under his eyes.
Somebody took all his stimulants.
Yeah. And he says, I can use some assets to make sure that I have the communication devices I will need for the Viper droids.
Make a list,
I will.
but not until tomorrow morning. You look completely exhausted.
I can't find him.
Who?
Thorne.
Ah, he eludes us, does he?
Dan, you've been
How long have you been looking?
Since we noticed his absence.
It's possible he's not here.
Josh, I can't remember. Did I do a sweep of the ship as it was on its way out to check for life forms? There were no extra?
correct.
Yep.
Yep. So I had assumed that he was not on that ship.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I would have assumed this didn't come up, but you guys have stopped any traffic from leaving the system.
Yep.
Otherwise.
Yep.
Orrin, I'll tell you this. Actually, give me a. What do we say? Security is more physical, right? And computer programming is.
Yeah, I have. They're both the same.
What's the mainframe
I have
specialty you have in something, right?
RACO mainframe.
Give me a roll on that.
Okay.
This is reflective of the efforts you've put in the last few days.
12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20.
Okay. With the 20, you've discovered but been unable to completely overcome a fairly frightening revelation. You're pretty sure that there is a system of backdoor authorizations
On Compnor's end?
and everything on Compnor's end for everything Imperial.
Right.
You are pretty confident that nothing major has been activated. You know that Thorne is not a high-level engineer,
Sure.
but you get the sense that he could probably activate any single system. You know, he probably can't initiate the self-destruct
Sure.
on his own in a way
Yep.
that you couldn't prevent. But almost anything else, he could probably turn something on or off, activate. And you also think that there is some kind of communication happening in the system, in the station
Yep.
between at least two parties.
Okay. Where we left off, I think Nero had said, since we noted his absence, Nero says, Compnor has access, sir.
To
Everything.
Everything.
Everything. I've never looked for it,
this doesn't surprise me.
but it's there.
Can you get around it?
I can protect some, but not all of our systems. And it's rather binary in its approach, at least for him.
Meaning,
He'll be able to turn something on or off.
that's not good.
No, it isn't. Whatever it
Can we
is,
disable network control to these devices and make it local only?
on some, but not all. We don't operate that way at the moment. We're not built to.
We need to find him before this conflict. We can't have him turning off life support in the middle of a battle.
Agreed.
We need to present to him a target that's too good to resist, so he'll come out of hiding. We need to take advantage of his propensity to want to be the hero and his opportunistic ways.
I agree.
Something that he thinks he did.
I've been thinking about it, sir, but I don't know what it is. He wants to be the hero.
Which means I'm his target. As far as he's concerned, we're all traitors, and I'm the head traitor.
Nero's nodding kind of slowly.
When Orrin tells you guys also about if you mention the
Access.
communications.
Oh, yeah. He does mention, Nero says, and an important point, sir. I don't think he's necessarily alone.
I see. Dissidents remain?
I can't pick out specific data points, but there is enough chatter to suggest, I say, especially since we've put up restrictions, there does seem to be communications going on in back channels that I simply don't have the bandwidth to monitor.
I see.
Argus, this makes you think of something that you probably might have realized before, but it puts it into sharp focus. Imperial officers have gone down to loyalty boards that have been brought up not just by official Compnor officers. And it is a somewhat, in higher echelons of Imperial Command, a somewhat known secret that Compnor sometimes has assets in place beyond their uniformed officers.
Air marshals?
Space marshals. The communications he's describing would not work that way if it was between Thorne and ex-crewmen. You know, that isn't...
Yeah.
Doesn't have these same authorizations.
So in other words, he's not trying to recruit anybody. He's got somebody in place that he's communicating with. This is the most likely scenario.
That's your assumption, yeah.
Okay. I relay that information to them. I say, there's probably other Comnor assets on board already that he's communicating with. This is standard operating procedure for them to prevent precisely what is happening.
If I had time, sir, I could find them.
Yes.
Really don't have time.
The good news is we know what he looks like. If we catch Thorne, I don't think it's the end of it, sadly. If there's another Compnor asset on board, which is likely the case.
Agreed.
I doubt he's sending love letters to Merida.
So how do we trap them? Get them to expose themselves?
We can say there's a meet and greet with the Emperor.
Free Imperial flags.
Yeah.
Organized march.
The problem is Thorne knows of the arrival of the Aurora's Edge. Drawing him out before then will be challenging.
Who does Thorne think? There must be somebody on board that Thorne believes he could trust enough to where if they told him they were willing to flip and or turn on me, he might entertain that thought.
My eyes glance for a second. You see this at Randar because I'm sitting next to him. I say, certainly. Perhaps Cass.
Probably not Cass.
Sorry, before you guys started talking about Thorne,
Yes.
there was a ring on the door. It's actually the ringtone of Dr. Gaius Wolfhard. What does your ringtone sound like?
Boom, 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 boom.
It's like a Kenny G saxophone or something, or like a Seinfeld.
And you open the hatch, and Dr. Wolfhard walks in. And
Thank you for joining us, Doctor. Glad you could make it.
Thank you, sir.
I stand up until he sits, show a little respect. Sit back down.
so you're back to discussing Thorne,
Yes.
and the fragile situation. So Doc gets spun up about that, the new complications that
Yes,
Orrin has
yes.
discovered.
Yep.
What we need to do is draw him out, Doctor. And we are thinking of a bit of counterintelligence, a bluff, a gambit.
The man wants to be a hero.
Yes, which means I'm his target. And playing on some natural misgivings between Randar and myself, with all due respect, Randar, perhaps we can manufacture conflict in a way that's intercepted by Thorne. We want to present Randar as approachable by Thorne.
Well,
That he,
perhaps there's another way, sir. Orn, you believe he'd be waiting for the Aurora's Edge to arrive, correct?
Tactically, I believe it's the wisest choice.
And you say he can monitor systems. Do you think he'd be able to monitor the sensors to see when it's arrived? Because if not, he only would know if we say so.
This is true.
Dan, you think it's unlikely that
He has like a visual.
he's not
visual.
sitting there with
Yeah.
like
The
his
radar
own little HUD.
Yeah, yeah.
One ping only.
He likely has access to monitoring the in-station communications. So anything we say over those channels is essentially his information.
So what we say goes.
That would be correct, Doctor.
We will confuse the crew.
A risk worth taking, I believe.
It can be hand waved away by saying it's a drill.
Agreed.
Battle station's called.
A readiness report.
You
Or
mean after
perhaps
the
a
fact?
sloppy
Yes.
communique between us.
For sure. So, this will draw him out, we believe. Explain.
Well, if he believes the Aurora's edge has arrived, he'll
Attack?
spring whatever trap he's laid.
Indeed.
We'd be ready for him, and there would be no support for him there.
I see.
That is to,
Excellent plan, Doctor.
that is to assume that he can't complete whatever task he requires from hiding the entire time. I imagine he'd be waiting for the troops to arrive before he shows his face in the CIC.
Maybe, but wouldn't he want to be standing on top of the pile when they arrive?
He would. That is Thorne. He's a political animal.
Perhaps we combine the two. If I can get in touch with him, show some crack in the armor, and then come up with a brilliant plan to capture Argus in the midst of combat.
Very well. Yes. Yes.
We will stage a fake battle. Yes.
Indeed. We should execute this at 16:30.
1630.
Dismissed. I stand up. I go to the brig.
Okay.
I look at the sergeant at arms, whoever's there.
All right. Let's say it's your old friend, Sergeant Hurlick.
Hurlick, good to see you. Keys,
Sir,
you're dismissed.
he kind of pauses for just a moment.
Take 20.
How's that? Private,
Totally kosher. That's
we're making the rounds. Shut up. Fall in.
I look at the cells. How many are there?
Half a dozen.
Okay. And is there a particular one you may use to lock somebody up in?
Sure. Three of them are occupied right now.
Hurlick, if you were to lock up a commanding officer, you'd do it in this cell, correct?
Depending on how much I liked them. Yeah, I'd say this is the VIP quarters.
Well done, Sergeant. See you in a few. I'm going to hide a blaster in that cell.
All right.
I like it.
Fucking Godfather style.
Okay.
Okay, that's all. Like tap under the bench, tape it up or some shit.
You
They have chronometers, but it's still tape.
no, it's space tape. It's space tape.
world.
It's space tape.
My adhera strips.
that's it.
Stupid. Stupid universe. With your dumb Skywalkers and your tape. All right. That's what I do.
All right. You're walking out. You see the face of one of the X-Wings.
My executor.
One of the X-Wing pilots in the windows of one of the cells. He looks at you as you pause in the hall.
How's your stay? He didn't see what I did he?
No.
Okay. That would suck. There's a gun in there.
Says, about as accommodating as I expected. A little longer than I figured it would last.
Well, the good news is this. If things go as planned, you get to stay a little longer. If not, we're all dead. I walk out.
Big question mark on that, guys. What the fuck is he talking about?
All right.
The door opens. Goom, 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 goom.
When we split from Argus's office,
Yep.
I fall in step with the doctor.
Okay.
God.
Hey, buddy.
Orn, looking worse for wear.
Perhaps. I have a lot to do.
We all do.
Some more than others.
He's standing, walking with you silently.
God damn, the pusher man.
Listen,
He
Orn,
must have-
I can't increase the dose anymore.
We are close, Doctor. If we fall short now, it'll all be for nothing.
And if you break before we get there, then it's all for nothing as well.
Dr.
Yeah.
Wolflag, you're familiar with addiction and you know what's happening with Orn. Giving him the same thing is not going to help at this point. So it's giving him and giving him more, as you mentioned, would probably be catastrophic. You could think of a cocktail, but it will bring its own risks. You could probably sustain, if it goes, it would carry a risk of fracture, but if it goes well, it could keep him focused, perhaps to an even higher degree in a short term.
Would it be a roll? A medicine roll?
Yeah, give me a medicine roll.
Give me a drug dealer roll.
Give me a pusher man roll. You're basically
It's a
the
space pharmacist?
You're basically big pharma.
Yeah.
I really liked the Breaking Bad arc of Star Wars.
That is not a great roll.
Cool.
What'd you get?
That's a 14, but I do
just
have 10
hit.
character points.
I mean,
so
He hands you a pile of fentanyl.
Who better to hand out drugs than a doctor who like hangs out in the elite circles? I'm sure he writes a bunch of scripts.
Using a character point?
yeah, I rolled a 1, so
15.
that didn't really help. And one more for 3, so 18 total.
Might as well go for the
Okay.
20.
Just saying.
Just saying.
Can I use more?
You can use 3.
If it's a specialty. So, I'm going to hold you at 18. I'm not going to change the narrative description of what I said. With an 18, you can do that. And I will, if you do it, I will tell Dan what his effect is.
Orn is now a game master character.
We're writing NPC on the top.
I'm in.
Okay. Orn, you can continue to function through this addiction, through your pace of operations. Your wild die, when it comes down as a 6, you can add a free extra, like basically like you use the character point.
Got it.
When it's a 1, I'm going to fucking bring it. And
Bring the rain.
you may not use character points.
Okay. Okay.
Whoa.
Throw it
Nothing
out
is
the
fucked.
window.
Nothing is fucked.
Well, that's the last we've ever seen of him.
It's going to be blowing people in the
Fortunately, he's
fucking
not doing anything.
officer's head. Where did Orn's teeth go?
Rickety horn.
He's
Old
looking
back alley horn.
How come Orn's wearing so many coats? Where did he get all the coats?
Or it's scratching a lot. A few hours later, you get a comm from Lieutenant Vraylan,
I'm going to go see Roy too, but go ahead.
and he tells you, so a short time ago, we intercepted a distress signal.
Ah,
Was cut short. It's from a Kuiper convoy. Said they were under attack.
Bummer.
this is terrible news.
Do you wish us to think we have a bearing and a direction?
Well,
The message did not get much out before it was cut off. I had to clean it up a bit. But it sounds like pirates, sir.
pirates. Do you get the gestos?
It sounded, if it was, they were in full force. The message talks about at least a half dozen starfighters and several other assorted ships.
Half a dozen starfighters. I'll make Randar aware immediately. Thank you.
Yes, sir. This did seem time sensitive, sir. It's already been, I'm sorry, perhaps 10 minutes since I've been able to piece this together.
I see. Randar,
You calling me over? Yeah. Yes.
It appears that the Kuiper is under attack by, apparently, pirates. Do you want to have a look?
Sure, I'll get a flight going.
Very well. Well done.
Vraylin kind of looks back and forth between the two of you and clicks his heels and reads between the lines enough to walk away.
Yep.
Braylon,
Welcome to Team Snake, John.
have you heard of New Horizons?
New Horizons, I'm not sure I have, sir.
We're in business with them now. Not Kuiper, but we still want to maintain business relations with Kuiper. But New Horizons has taken over the area.
Understood.
They had a bit of an internal squabble, but Marita Falcone came out on top.
There was a communique that there will be an upcoming announcement.
That's the one. We still want to check it out, just to make sure this pirate activity doesn't spill over to us. Great job as always.
This is like when you see in the movies and it's like a Senate hearing and someone like reads one page for the whole movie and just like shuffles it into the next part. Like, no big deal.
Yep.
Braylon, I will make it legal.
Randar will actually get get one of the Corvettes and a couple fighters.
He kills all the Black Jesters. The whole deal's fucked.
To look for survivors at the end to clean up and see if he can.
Okay.
To try to at least do something positive.
You guys get out there. By the time you're there is the remnants of a armed freighter that looks like it was destroyed. Not sure.
Bummer.
Can't read too much. No survivors present.
Yep.
Just the remnants of an orphan con.
Whoa.
And
Every one of those pilots was pregnant? Jesus.
nothing else to see.
Okay.
And actually, your sensors before you complete your sweep, they pick up a small transport kind of at the edge of sensor range, and it jumps as soon as you kind of even turn in its vector.
Yep. Head back to base.
I'm going to go to the deck.
You see my signature in space.
Floating on a piece of paper.
All right, you walk down to the deck. It is a insane frenzied activity. It's cutting torches, drills, things being, hoses being dragged all over.
Yep.
It looks like you're inside of a body that's having open heart surgery while the body is like jogging. Like everything is operating, and they're still like they're doing things that normally should absolutely require like a shutdown.
Yeah.
It's ugly.
I'm looking around. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 12 safety violations. I ignore them. I'm looking for Roy.
All right.
I have a data pad in my hand.
You eventually ask a few crewmen and follow a string of cursing. And you see Roy. He's stripped down. He's got his overalls like pulled down. He's in a tank top, space tank top, and he's covered in grease. You
I think
see
it's called a space top.
a couple burns, and he's standing and shouting. He's holding a cutting torch in one hand. And he's like this. You can't forget about the goddamn doing it by the book. All right, you're going to be doing this 242 times. 242. All right. You just took 2 goddamn hours on one of them. You got 10 minutes each.
My hands are behind my back. I'm looking up at the ceiling.
Oh, good afternoon, sir. Attention on deck! I'm kidding. Carry on. Cut that!
I show him the data pad of how much money I'm going to give him and ask him for a wish list.
Yeah. Thought you might.
Over lunch. No rush.
Lunch.
He points to the like a half-eaten sandwich on the side and grabs the data pad. There's already most of it.
Okay. How much money is this? 183?
Half that.
That's fine. Anything else?
No, sir.
Carry on, Roy. You're a hero of the Empire. I leave.
What color is this metal going to be?
All right. That stuff I think confidently I can get from New Horizons.
Yep. You think between their different industrial endeavors here in the system, they can salvage up pretty much everything Roy needs to make this work.
Cool.
In a jury-rigged fashion.
I'm going to send this list over via email or what have you to whatever, space email.
New Horizons?
Yes. Attention,
All right.
CEO. Ready to fuck up.
All right.
With that list, Dean, I requested the 4 SIG tactical sensor jamming packages
Perfect.
for the droids.
Yeah, we got everything we need on this thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And it's about 1,600.
Cool.
How do you guys execute this?
I think the best way to do it is to just call it. I'm going to call it over the fucking 1MC.
Okay. So you go to CIC
Mm-hmm.
and say Raylan's there.
Yep. He's the watch officer right now.
Yep.
Okay.
And he is the head of ops. So he's spending the majority of his time in the CIC.
Okay.
All right. He got promoted because Cecily left, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Well, I would like it. I think Argus would know enough to schedule this thing for when Raylan probably wasn't there.
Okay.
If he knows the roster enough.
However you want to set
I think
this
that's
up.
the best way to do it.
Okay.
When Argus is on deck, he'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah. So whatever that time period, let's say that's 16:30. I come in at 1600. I let Raylan. Let's say have a good night. Well done. And I take the con essentially.
Okay. CO has the con.
I stand relieved. Bye, Raylan. And then I'm just going to call it on the one team, almost like a drill.
I am. Nero is at his sort of little corner of the CIC, and he's monitoring essentially the station's systems, as many as he can. So he's making sure or looking over weapon systems, shields, life support, any of the critical systems that he's been able to identify in the last 24, 48 hours that he's been hunting for Thorne and knowing that he's had this access.
Okay. All right.
I'm armed.
All right. 16.
Who else is on the CSC? Just a couple of junior officers.
Yeah. You've got, let's say the standard watch crew is maybe six crew, a couple officers and 4 crewmen or so that just kind of run the day-to-day ops.
Okay. All right. Perfect. I wait for the appropriate time, and then I'm going to pick up the horn.
Okay. Grab the 1MC.
I look over at everybody. I look at the crew, look around. And I say, now hear this, now hear this. The Aurora's Edge has arrived. They're ahead of schedule. Please prepare for their arrival. Argus out.
The crew in the CIC kind of look surprised. The crewman at the sensors panel.
I have the 1MC off, and I say, this is not a drill. To them.
Sir, I'm not seeing this. Nothing's on my scopes.
I say, pretend something's on your scopes.
Very well, sir. Should we launch fighters?
No. Not yet.
All right.
Just relax.
Dan, give me a mainframe roll. Can't wait for these ones and sixes.
Randar is running to the CIC as if it was.
21.
Okay. Yeah. 21.
That's pretty fucking good.
The rest of the station starts rogering in as if this was real. You know, hangar reporting in, different stations reporting in.
Yep.
You get some calls like, are we going to action stations, anything like that?
Second edition 2.
Okay. The Corvettes both check in. Randar, you're hustling up there. Orn, you're making your way through these systems. You're sitting there and you're attentive.
Yep.
And security locks go out everywhere in the station.
You see Orin's head kind of swivel to you.
I step off of the likely elevated position on the Imperial CIC.
Okay.
And I walk down to where he is.
Sir, all the security locks, they're off.
What's that mean?
The hatch to CIC opens and you see
I look.
there's a crewman walks in like in a wardroom uniform and he's carrying like the duty watch chow and walks in the CIC and goes over to like the side table, bringing in food for the crew while they're.
I put my hand on my pistol.
I say, crewman.
He sets it down.
I draw my weapon on him.
He
Hands up.
he freezes. He's got the plate set down. His hands are on it.
I draw my weapon while sitting.
He holds for a long beat. And then you hear a voice from the door. You're under arrest in the name of the Emperor. And we'll hold there.
The name of the Emperor. So fucking dead. You jerk.
So cute.
He has been dreaming about that line for his whole life.
Thank you guys for listening to another episode of Nastagram. We hope you're enjoying Empire's End. You know the deal. We're going to ask you to spread the word, tell a friend, post about it online, do whatever you can, ratings, review, everything helps. And get involved. Got a great community over at Facebook at the Nastagram RPG Lounge, or just pop over onto the website, nastagrampod.com, links to all our socials, and bonus content and more coming soon. Our intro music, as always, is by a Wilhelm Scream. Scores this arc are from both Adrian von Ziegler and Antti Marttikainen. We'll be back with another episode next week. Why don't you bring a friend?
That's nasty.
Herlick, before he steps away. Fuck. We get it, they're criminals. Sorry. You can act.
So they say.